Your morning addiction.
Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take.
The Zimmer News Team.
To actually create real peace, you have to do these kinds of actions just like happen.
And now, introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
To those who would test our resolve or threaten the United States, our allies, or our interests, understand clearly we can reach you, we can sustain the fight, and we can scale the fight, and we will prevail. To the American people, your joint force remains steady, frosty, calm, and focused. Your service members are trained, disciplined, and determined. We understand the risks of this mission and the weight of the responsibility that we carry. We also recognize that our families also shoulder the burden at home.
Well, there was General Dan Raisin Kane yesterday in a powerful announcement letting us know that they have resolved, they are trained, they are ready, and they're already ahead of schedule, as Donald Trump said later on. Welcome into Wake Up America. I'm Randy Tobler. Stephanie Bell.
Wake Up America.
There.
Upgrade.
Did I say Wake Up America?
Yeah.
Well, that's Wake Up America now.
Surprise announcement.
We're waking everybody up.
I'm
this
sorry,
morning.
that's not a Freudian slip. It's Wake Up America. What is I read a poll that 47% of people are against this maneuver.
Yeah, well, 47% of people are stupid.
They're not listening to Wake Up Missouri.
Yeah, and they're just stupid.
They're not listening
because they're not listening
General
to Wake Up
Raisin
Missouri.
Kane. Well, I don't know if they're stupid, but I mean, what do they want to wait till the nuclear tipped warheads are coming, missiles are coming over from Iran?
You know what?
Maybe the pollsters grabbed them while they were gassing up their car or something.
Yeah, well, maybe
Caught
so.
them at the absolute wrong time.
Yeah, could be. We're going to be talking to Larry Behrens later on today, also to Jeff Manasso, and we're going to be talking. So we're going to be, of course, covering what's going on in Iran and things around that. I think this has escalated into much more than maybe certainly those Gulf states in the area were thinking. I mean, when they sort of stood by and were sort of silent and neutral in the at least publicly in the run up to this, did they think that their hotels were going to be hit? Did they think that their airports were going to be hit by the Iranians? Did they think that I think they knew that the American bases might be hit, but holy cow, the Iranians are just, well, we've known they're unhinged, but now they're just stupid because it appears as though the surrounding Arab states are now coalescing with America and Israel.
You know what I love the most about this, Randy?
Yeah.
Besides the economic, I think that our economy is going to soar after this. It just happens during war times. But the biggest haters of Iran, I think, is college football Twitter. And I'm not kidding. I'm being as serious as possible with
Explain.
you. So, college football Twitter, it's not
To see Iranians around the globe, celebrating in the streets. Now, there have been some pro-Iranian theocratic, despotic regime protests as well. Let's not dismiss that. But I think overwhelmingly you've seen a lot of support from exiled Iranians and their descendants. I mean, now we're a couple generations down the road. But my gosh, the exuberance among the people that call themselves Persians, that's an interesting geopolitical look, isn't it, John? How many folks who are Iranian pre-Ayatollah call themselves Persians? It's very interesting.
Well, the guys I played college soccer with back in the day when before the Shah had been deposed and all, they were Persians. That's what they always called themselves.
Yeah. And the very westernized, it was, it was led by a king and it had a different construct, but it was certainly an ally of the West, an ally of America. And I think that was probably a better geopolitical situation than we had following the fall of that regime. And as you say, the exile of the Shah. Now his son looks an awful lot like the Shah, is potentially in line to at least be a bridge to some kind of other. That would be a best case scenario. A lot of people are asking that
figurehead kind of thing, maybe.
What comes next? I think people are asking that rightly. That's right. We have the video released of the Clinton testimony. That was fiery. Did you watch some of that stuff? Did you see any of it? It was fun. You see Bill answering those questions?
Boy, he looked worn out by the
I
end
liked
of it.
how angry Hillary got.
I think she was right.
Actually, that was like I liked her in that form.
But especially when she just about walked out and said enough. When Boebert, what is wrong with Lauren Boebert? I mean, my God, it's supposed to be. I thought the rules were private. It's a private thing. Now, why they're going to release it later, I don't understand. Why does it matter? But still, if that was the rules, those were the rules. Then during the deposition, Boebert releases a picture to Benny Johnson.
I support Boebert in whatever she does, says, anything like that. I fully endorse her. I just looked her up.
She's hot.
Yep.
Why do you support her?
I just answered it because she's hot.
She's pretty.
Oh, my God.
It's like he's going to vote for AOC.
Where are your principles, man?
Where are my principles? I mean, look, Randy, I've told you since I got here, if you're a 10 but you go to KU, I'm not dating you. There's not a chance. But maybe a little bit more on the left side, I can wig.
That's fair.
I don't know. What's right is right. And if it was supposed to be a private setting, and then one of the Republicans, what if the Democrat would have released it? You wouldn't have said it was okay then, would you?
A picture, like who cares?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't. Well, maybe there's something in the fine print that said some of it. Whatever. Maybe.
Well, that was the whole thing, that the way they'd agree with the Clintons' lawyers that there were a bunch of parameters laid in, like them not leaving Chappaqua, but staying on Long Island to do the testimony and all, and the press wasn't allowed in. There was no video pool. So if that was the rules, that was the rules.
Also, like, Hillary was looking her best, right? Like, we've seen photos, and she's been looking not great. She was looking good. Like, her little blue outfit, her hair was done. If you release an ugly picture of me, I'm mad. If I'm looking good in the picture, I'll let it slide.
It is interesting that Hillary had a blue dress. All right, next, while we talk about the video of the Clintons, we got that out. I've got some sound on that. We also, in terms of the Iran news, it appears as though most, if not all, of the naval power of the Iranians there has been taken down. What was it, 8 ships, John? 9? They took down a bunch of them.
And they're still threatening, and the Iranians still this morning are saying the Strait of Hormuz is closed to oil tanker traffic.
Yeah.
So, and now the big player in that whole thing is Lloyd's of London, and all the big shipping insurance carriers are saying, you're not sailing through there and expecting us to cover you from an insurance standpoint. So that's the big question.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the insurance, what is that going to do to all of our insurance rates? Have you looked at the cost of insurance? It's going up, whether it's your house, your car, no matter what. Well, and I think these things, like the insurance market I think there's a certain global aspect to the insurance market, because ultimately all of the reinsurance centers back on Lloyd's of London and, right, the UK kind of stuff. Well, isn't there a lot of that goes on?
There are some things to me that are like a black box. I do not.
You just don't want to know?
Well, I don't. I mean, we've talked about this before. I think, like, for most of my businesses and, like, even personally, insurance is, like, one of the biggest line items, and I don't understand.
Yeah. But, I mean,
I feel like I'm a fairly safe bet, right? I mean, I'm not a great driver, but knock on wood, I haven't had that many car accidents. Rude. But you know what I mean? Like, because
you don't ever talk on your phone while you're driving.
I feel like I'm fairly healthy. Like, it seems it's outrageous.
But you don't ever talk on your phone or text or do anything when you drive. Very safe bet.
I'm going to really have sticker shock when I have 3 kids driving.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's going to be brutal.
It was scary just driving here this morning. I mean, it was raining pretty hard north of Columbia. I don't know if you guys experienced that, and I'm sure
bad, south of Columbia.
I didn't get that. Was it?
Okay, maybe I was imagining things. I don't know.
Can we just be thankful that it's rain and not some sort of wintry mix?
Yeah, that's
no
true.
Kidding.
No, that's very true. Yeah, that was some of that yesterday morning, or actually Sunday night into Monday morning, came down north, and it was a little bit dicey for a while. I found a little bit of something that made me very happy. Donald Trump.
Happy?
Say what I'm always happy. Say what you want. I'm always happy.
Where's the buzzer on that one, Drake?
I'm happy. You guys just don't know what makes. No, truth and destroying wokeness make me happy. So as long as we can point out truth, it's good. So I found a clip from Donald Trump in 1980 that affirmed that there are principles the guy has in terms of his political stance and his views of America. And agree or not agree, he's talked about tariffs forever, right? Well, guess what he said during the hostage crisis in 1980? He also said it during 2016 and 2020 and 24, and now he's followed through. Here it is.
When you get the respect of the other countries, then the other countries tend to do a little bit as you do, and you can create the right attitudes. The Iranian situation is a case in point. That they hold our hostages is just absolutely and totally ridiculous. That this country sits back and allows a country such as Iran to hold our hostages, to my way of thinking, is a horror. And I don't think they'd do it with other countries. I honestly don't think they'd do it with other countries.
Obviously, you're advocating that we should have gone in there with troops, etc., and brought our boys out.
I absolutely feel that, yes.
1980, hostage crisis.
We tried and failed, too.
He was asking for decisive action. When you show weakness, powerful, evil, deceitful people will take advantage of that weakness. That's called the human condition. And that's been lost on Joe Biden. To his credit, I mean, Obama was occasionally decisive. Sometimes, it didn't work out well, but he was decisive. Look at Bill Clinton, how he was indecisive in foreign policy. We've reported, we've talked about it before, and it was reported on at the time. He had a chance to take out bin Laden when the Al-Qaeda was festering and could have been contained with a little antibiotic. Instead, it needed major surgery called a long, protracted war that didn't work out that well. So good for Trump. He's been consistent. Let's see what Stephanie has up her sleeve when we come back on Wake Up Missouri. I keep wanting to say Wake Up America because it's time. Wake Up America. Decisive Donald has made the move. We'll be back.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
My heartfelt condolences to the families who have lost their heroes, who sacrificed their lives for freedom. Their bravery and dedication will always be remembered. I extend my earnest wishes for a swift and smooth recovery to all those who have been injured. You are in my thoughts and prayers during these challenging times. The U.S. stands with all of the children throughout the world. I hope soon peace will be yours.
Time for the Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell.
Of course, that was Melania presiding yesterday over the UN Security Council meeting, offering her thoughts and prayers. So far, U.S. casualties stand at 6 service members killed, 18 wounded. Joint Chiefs Chair Dan Kane said more losses are expected. We have struck more than 1,250 Iranian targets. That includes military installations, missile sites, IRGC command centers, naval assets, and nuclear program remnants. Iran is hitting us back with 420 missiles across 9 countries, targeting some U.S. sites, but also kind of just, I don't know, hitting random things, right? Civilians, hotels, other things. So Trump says the operation is ahead of schedule. He estimates 4 to 5 weeks total, but said we will do whatever it takes. The State Department is urging all Americans to leave 14 Middle Eastern countries immediately. And of course, Hegseth said yesterday, this is not a regime change war, but the regime sure did change. It's hard to say that it's not a regime change war when you kill all the top regimers, right?
Yep. I don't know if we know where this thing's going.
Interestingly, the prediction markets are now facing some backlash. Traders on Polymarket moved almost 530 million in bets tied to the timing of the U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran, per Bloomberg. Senator Chris Murphy called it insane that this is legal and says he's going to introduce legislation to ban it. So Polymarket operates offshore. This allows betting on military conflict, but both Kalshi and Polymarket, I guess, took bets on when the Ayatollah would be out of power, and they're facing some pretty serious backlash. Like, you know, you're betting on when someone's going to die. People don't really love that.
Oh, it's a free country.
All right, Senate is supposed to vote today on a war powers resolution. Senator Tim Kaine is leading that effort. There is supposed to be a House vote later this week. The numbers are really close, but even if somehow it does pass, we've got, I think Rand Paul is on board, but John Fetterman is going to vote against it. We played some audio from him. He's behind Trump on this thing. So, but even if it does pass, Trump can still veto it, and Congress doesn't have the votes to do a veto override. Although we got several press conferences and official statements from the administration yesterday, Rubio and Hegseth are going to be on Capitol Hill today to brief Congress. We are also, it's a big day. We've got the primaries for the 2026 midterm season kicking off. Of course, the one everyone's talking about is in Texas. If no one gets 50%, then they go into a runoff. We're looking at Cornyn and Paxton and Wesley Hunt and potentially Jasmine Crockett. She's, according to all the predictions and the polling, she's not expected to win, but gosh, that would be a gift if she did. We've also got voters heading to the polls in North Carolina and in Arkansas. We've got more retirements coming. A Montana Republican yesterday said he's going to retire. That means 52 House members have now announced they're not running. And we've got to talk about the Supreme Court arguments yesterday, Randy. Can we do that next?
Founding Fathers, marijuana and guns, and habitual drunkards coming up on Wake Up Missouri.
habitual drunkard, the American Temperance Society back in the day said 8 shots of whiskey a day only made you an occasional drunkard. We have to remember the founding era if you want to invoke the founding era. To be a habitual drunkard, you had to do double that, okay? John Adams took a tankard of hard cider with his breakfast every day. James Madison reportedly drank a pint of whiskey every day. Thomas Jefferson said he wasn't much of a user of alcohol. He only had 3 or 4 glasses of wine a night, okay?
Well, that was Justice Neil Gorsuch in an interesting little detour concerning whether people who use marijuana, quote, habitually, regularly, the words matter, should be able to use to have guns. That's an interesting case, Stephanie.
Yeah, there's a 1968 law on the books that bans drug users from owning firearms. So this case involves a Texas man. He was charged under that federal law after FBI agents found a pistol, marijuana, and cocaine at his home. And yeah, the government is kind of using this habitual drunkard standard as the constitutional precedent, but Gorsuch clearly wasn't buying it. I guess the defense is arguing that the statute is really vague and that the habitual drunkard laws only covered people who had completely lost their ability to function, not anyone who just regularly drinks or uses drugs. And they're worried that, if they come up with some sort of narrow decision, that then courts would be required to get into this like case by case, really fact specific determination about which drugs and users are actually dangerous, right? If you don't have some sort of more broad rule about it.
Did you say there was coke involved?
There was cocaine in this, guys.
You'd think that would be would be a reason to take the gun.
Yeah.
Missy Branham on one WGN story on this on Facebook says, yeah, why not? I smoke almost daily. I have a gun. I've never even had the thought to mess with it or touch it when stoned.
Because you're too busy eating Cheetos.
Actually, guns are safer with us stoners because we're so stoned we get super chill. Miguel Sanchez says, I think people who use cannabis are more likely not to use or have a gun. They don't drive cars when using. They prefer to walk to a store or take a bus. So there. This whole marijuana thing really troubles me.
You won't.
Well, no, I'm fine. I'm fine with marijuana being legal now. That's fine. That's cool. Because, I'm sort of a consequences guy. Hard, severe, certain. Why in the heck would you ever think about doing something if you know that while on that something or engaging in that something, you could do something to hurt someone else? And if you do, then that's going to. So whether you're on marijuana or not, if you shoot someone, I don't really care. You shot someone. I don't believe in hate laws. I don't care if you're motivated by hate or you're motivated by alcohol, which probably is behind more gun crimes than marijuana. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the data there, but I wouldn't be surprised. Look at when do most shootings happen in Columbia downtown?
Late at night.
Right, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning, right?
After the bars close.
Right. So, why not just define what a habitual alcohol user is and take their guns if that's what you're going to do, right? But the point is about this really troubles me. We have set a precedent in this country that if the state decides not to enforce a federal law and the feds decide not to enforce it, it's as though the law doesn't exist. What the heck's that about? So what if we all just collectively decided not to pay taxes this year?
That'd be awesome.
What if the legislators said, you know what? We don't agree with income taxes. And we're just not going to do it. And the feds go, I don't know what to do. I don't know, states do. I mean, so why is it that some federal laws are enforced and others aren't? If you don't like the law, then change it. I went into a county near where my farm is because I was afraid I'd left. I walked into the assessor's office yesterday, and I said, I think I sent back my form. You know how they have what you had every year? I think I left a tractor off. And he looked at me I said, I think I made a false statement here.
You were tattling yourself?
So I want to fix that because I think I made an honest mistake. I said,
sorry, I got an extra tractor I forgot about.
I had one that was defunct, and I didn't. And the guy, and he was like, well, no, thank you for your honesty doing that. Well, okay. I said, look, if I don't comply by the law, I can't gripe about it. If I avoid the law, I have no right, in my opinion, to be you know whatin' about it. 573-874-9390.
I just learned something very interesting, Randy, about you.
What'd you learn?
It's that you follow the law not to not go to jail, not to not pay a fine, to be an upstanding person in society. It's to come onto this radio station and gripe about the criminals. I think that is the only reason why you don't.
No, you missed my point. If you feel oppressed by the government, or if you feel the government is out of control because they're doing something or asking something or whatever of you, you have every right to petition the government. But I think you lose that standing if you're not abiding by the law and getting away with it by which you're complaining, about which you're complaining. Don't talk to me about this or that law that's so bad if you're not obeying it. I mean, what that's civil disobedience? But I hope they throw the book at you for disobeying the law. You should.
I mean, whenever I was younger, I learned this from a very young age that, like, you'll have almost everywhere, there's rules that just no one enforces and no one follows. But as soon as you tick off the wrong person, they, you know, throw the book at you and all of that. So
that's a problem.
That is, but
that's a problem. That's my point.
Yeah. I agree, Randy.
That's one of the reasons I never touched the marijuana stuff when I was coming up, when I was a young kid and stuff. I didn't want to, because I didn't want to get caught and have something on my record. And then, I mean, yeah, I don't know, maybe I would have been interested, maybe not. I frankly saw what it did to people. I wasn't interested in being loopy, but, you know. My point is.
And you were running with the band.
I was with the band. Well, I saw what it did to the band. They thought they were playing really good, and they weren't when they were more stoned than not.
One or two extra time changes that came from God knows where, right?
On the other hand, some of our most creative people in terms of fiction and writing and the arts have had drug and alcohol problems. You know?
Well, look at our founders. Apparently,
they're
drinking
habitual
for breakfast.
drunkards. It opens up that creative streak in you.
Drake, where's the cider this morning that we were supposed to eat with our
Yeah, where's the hard
eggs?
cider this morning? I want that with my omelet.
Then again, what did they only live to be like? Not very old.
I'm just curious what the audience
thinks. Because they were all
thinks
doodling each other.
I don't know. I mean, I feel strongly about that. If marijuana is it's a federal crime. Do you know the problem we had in hospitals when Missouri decided to pass? It's like, wait a minute. Now I'm getting federal money from Medicare, which means I'm inspected as a federal facility, and I need to comply with all the federal laws. And then someone brings in their gummies that they've been using for 5 years to sleep, and that's part of their, quote, home medicines. What the heck do I do?
I mean, it was a real struggle. I had lots of friends in HR around, and they have strict rules. And, with alcohol, you can do a BAC test. With drugs, you can do a P test. The problem with marijuana is it's in your system. You can't tell whether someone was high right then. Mm-hmm. And it's like, how do you, I mean, they had to come up with whole new policies about how to comply with federal law, how to keep people safe, it's a struggle. And then, talk about getting into the banking aspects and everything else.
Well, Randy, you talked about federal laws that aren't enforced. Federal government doesn't enforce possession or cultivation or anything of that marijuana anymore, since it's become legal in so many states, unless it's, like major level international drug traffickers and all. But yeah, it's
so why doesn't the state of Missouri ban Obamacare and do its own common sense health plan and just say so now the states can just decide whether or not to comply by federal law? I mean, where does it end? 573-874-9390. Matt's on the line. Why are you laughing, Stephanie Bell? I think it's a very principled stance. Hello, Matt. How are you?
Oh, good morning, guys. I listen to you every morning. I'm an Amazon driver, so you guys keep me entertained.
Well, hey, thank you for all the hard work you do getting things there on time. Really appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Good. All right, so here's a quick little statement here. I was a counselor years ago, and what I never understood was we had a guy that had 10 DUIs over 12 years in 4 different states. 2 involved guns, and yet he still has his guns. But another guy in the 90s gets caught with an ounce of weed, and they take away all his guns.
Agreed. That's a problem.
And I don't understand. And to this day, the guy that got all the DUIs still drives.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, I
Doesn't
just
make
don't
logical
disagree with
sense
you.
at all.
No. And that's what people have a problem with the law and the so-called justice system. There is no justice. It's subjective. It's who has the best dramatic argument in the court. It's how a judge feels. It's how a prosecutor wakes up on one side of the bed that day. I just think we don't have true, consistent, principled justice in this country.
I agree with that.
That's my stance, and I'm sticking by it. So there. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. There you go.
Debate solved.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing more to say.
There we go. And if you want to cancel out Obamacare, then there goes all the federal Medicaid money, right? If the states decide, say, "Oh, we don't abide by that here," and they'll go, "See you later."
Yeah, I mean, you have a little problem called the Supremacy Clause. So when the feds regulate something like that, if there's a direct conflict with the state, the Fed controls.
So you want to ignore the Supremacy Clause when it comes to marijuana, but you want to abide by it when it comes to income tax.
I don't. It's two different
or to Obamacare
archetypes, because I don't think you're ignoring the Supremacy Clause. I think if it ever came down to it, federal law would control. But with marijuana, you, like what you just said, you are correct in that there's a lot of discretion, and so folks are just looking the other way.
What about SEPA? What about the Second Amendment Preservation Act and how the Supremacy Clause kicked that off the legal rolls in Missouri?
I mean, you call it discretion. I think that's a save face term. It's playing favorites. That's what the justice system has become. It's playing favorites. Who's got the most money? Who's got the most influence? Who looks the best in court? Who's got the most? Who took the most drama?
The best in court?
Huh?
Well, I think actually it's about priorities. And if my choice was crack down on people doing murders or crack down on people getting high, I pick people doing murders.
But we don't crack down on people doing murders, and when we do, it takes 50 years. Andy says the feds use discretion just like other law enforcement. Yeah. All right. Look, I'm okay with legalizing marijuana, but it's currently federally illegal. It still is. Back with Make Missouri Healthy again in just a moment.
It's Wake Up
So we had an interesting discussion. David, hang on the line because I'm going to get to you before we're done here. We had an interesting discussion during the break. Stephanie's been wanting to talk about a Make Missouri Healthy Again topic that I wasn't sure would interest everyone, but she convinced me. The counselor had made an argument that convinced me that I'm going to do an audible and talk about other topics tomorrow. Stephanie found this story about how long breast milk can sit out and still be safe, because it's an existentially important thing. And it is. It's important. There's debate. The CDC has very strict guidelines. Don't leave it out unrefrigerated for more than 4 hours. Don't refreeze it after it's thawed. If the baby has used part of a bottle, use the rest of it within 1 to 2 hours. And now there's some data that says maybe you can expand those. You can liberalize those.
Yeah,
those
that
rules.
it just doesn't spoil like regular milk, which
Right.
we kind of knew, but you didn't want to get your baby sick.
No.
But the stuff is like liquid gold. And so anyone who has lived and breathed that, and Randy said, dudes don't really care. If you are a husband in a household with a breastfeeding wife, you know all the rules and you protect that thing like gold if you want to stay married. Let me tell you. Drake, you better learn.
Don't question Stephanie's management of the breast milk.
You're talking to a breast milk expert here, Stephanie. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm serious. I mean, it is all consuming when you are in the throes of it. And this kind of relaxes some of the standards and says, and it's no secret, when women are working and they're pumping, you're counting every ounce. And the day that you don't get enough, you're worried, is my baby going to have enough milk for tomorrow? And there's this, it is you have to have a degree, because you're trying to freeze some ahead of time for when you go out of town. You're trying to keep some in the refrigerator for the next day. You're wondering, okay, if I want to go to dinner, do I have enough? If I decide I want to have a drink and I have to dump it out, do I have enough in the freezer? Do I freeze it in the little, you can see it right there. Do I freeze it in the little tube things? So that way, I can drop it into the bottle. How does it get warmed up? It is an all-consuming. If you have been there, you identify with this
I don't
lifestyle.
remember those problems.
Well, did your wife stay at home?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're just putting the baby on the boob all the time, right?
Well, but we did go on vacation.
You don't have to worry about the freezing and the pumping. We had some time.
We went out to dinner and stuff. I don't know.
I had a pump that stayed in my car. I had one at work. I had to leave. I feel bad for. I have pumped in any location you could imagine. I pumped in the back room of a church during the middle of a wedding. I pumped at the Truman Building. I pumped in most office buildings in random breaks. Every bathroom in America.
You're to be commended for ensuring your baby's got breast milk, first of all, because
this is a big deal.
It's unequaled. No matter what formula is out there, breast milk is always better. It is.
I don't know that I'll say that. I was formula fed, and I think I turned out just fine. But I think rude.
Oh, that was a high hanging curve there.
But it can be all consuming. It's really stressful. That's why to this day I sent my kids to Discovery Place in Jefferson City. They were lovely. They treated that. They didn't dump that breast milk out. They protected it like a member of my own family. I got in arguments with my in-laws and my parents about it because they raised babies on formula, and babies need less breast milk. And so I'd come home and I'm like, wait, how much did you feed that baby? They're like, it seemed hungry. I'm like, it wasn't hungry.
So this is not a public endorsement of these wider rules. This is a statement by one website based on some studies.
Yes, there's some new studies out.
Don't assume that these studies are all in unanimity. Be careful with breast milk.
If you go to parentdata.org, it explains the studies. So it might be something you want to look into.
Stephanie Bell says you can leave your breast milk out for a year and it's okay.
No.
No? Oh, no. All right. Sorry we didn't get to you, David. Call back a little later.
real peace, you have to do these kinds of actions just like happen.
And now, introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Oil prices spiking as Iran retaliates against U.S. and Israeli strikes. Saudi Arabia shut down its largest refinery. It was hit by a drone. Qatar stopped all LNG production. And for oil sitting on ships currently at sea, insurance companies have canceled coverage.
Well, that's a report on the impact on global oil and energy markets from this Iran strike. To help us sort that out, what it means for you when you pull up to the pump, maybe when the propane dealer fills your tank or the natural gas company is sending your next bill, is Larry Behrens, Power the Future. And Larry, this is talk about some volatility. I don't know if it can be more volatile than this. Welcome into the program.
Good morning. It's great to be with you all. And Randy, it could be more volatile. If we look at past incidents and global incidents, sometimes we've seen prices spike. I think for Russia and Ukraine, the prices spiked 40%. For the Yom Kippur War, prices spiked 100 to 200%. And so, yes, they could spike a whole lot more. I understand nobody likes any type of spike, but the fact of the matter is, it could be a lot worse.
Is that because people have optimism that that this may be a short-lived thing and things will return back to normal or better than normal with less than the ongoing sort of tension there in the Straits of Hormuz that have been there with the Houthis and so forth for a long time? Or is that because of some different oil sources around the world?
That is definitely one of the factors, and of about 50 factors that go into it. I'll just mention the ones that are really in play right now. The ones that are worrisome factors, Strait of Hormuz is absolutely one. I'm sure everyone's heard that 20% of the world's oil goes through there, but not 20% of America's oil. I mean, that is mostly Asian oil and India and European oil that goes through the Strait of Hormuz. However, when we look at Saudi Arabia shutting down facilities, Qatar shutting down, production facilities, then those are two worrying aspects of it. The part that is much better now, if you look at, like, for example, when Russia invaded Ukraine, the United States is producing about 2 million barrels a day more of oil than we were at that time. By my elementary math, that's 60 million more barrels per month, and that is a really big help in terms of hedging it. But there's other factors too. You're right that they're looking at, hey, could this be a shorter one? And so maybe we don't have to worry about it. And that is something to consider of what is going to be out of commission, how long is it going to be out of commission, and who does it impact? I can tell you, we here in the United States, because we produce more of our own now, we're a little better insulated than we have been in years past. But there's, no way we can completely hide ourselves from those world markets.
That's Larry Behrens, communications expert with Power the Future at powerthefuture.com, joining us on Wake Up Missouri.
Larry, you said we get our oil mainly the domestic market and from Canada. What's this disruption in the Persian Gulf mean, especially for China?
So it really, really impacts China. And so just to get some numbers there for you, John, we get about 60 to 65% of our oil domestically. And so we get a lot from Canada and then some from Mexico as well. So we have a really North American bent to getting our oil. For China, they're looking at about 15 to 20% of their oil came from Iran. And let's be clear, that was illegal oil, right? Iran wasn't supposed to be doing that. Under the Biden administration, they were able to pull in about $54 billion a year in oil export money, and illegal oil export money. That is obviously going to come to a stop. And so when you look at Venezuela, now off the table for China, when you look at Iran, potentially off the table for China, you start to see that this is obviously taking out the Ayatollahs and a whole lot of points that President Trump has already made. But this is an interesting squeeze on China in the geopolitical chessboard.
Talk to us a little bit about timing, because markets certainly like certainty. And we haven't gotten much certainty from the administration about the timing of Operation Epic Fury. They said, it could be a couple of weeks, could be shorter. We're ahead of the timeline. Does that inject additional worries for the markets?
It does. You're absolutely right. Volatility is not a friend of the market. And sadly, I mean, I'm no military expert, but I would assume that when you're waging an offensive campaign, that volatility is something that you would like to impart on the enemy. You don't want to be predictable when it comes to military action, but markets love predictability. And so those two things are going against each other right now. But you all are on the exact right question. how long will this last? The durability of the volatility is really the question right now. And I think the market has settled on we're looking at what is happening in Iran. I think if we're looking at real concern, it would be beyond if we are, uncertain still a month out from now.
We're talking with Larry Behrens with Power of the Future, communications director there. And ahead of the opening of the market, Stephanie will report on the very latest numbers. It appears as though the market is plummeting because oil is up now $4. The futures are up $4 a barrel, up to $75 a barrel now, the latest I can find. So this is going to have a real impact. I know that just in the difference between Friday and yesterday when I was filling up, another 10 to 20 cents difference in my diesel fuel. I don't see this stopping anytime soon. I mean, it looks like even before the oil that is in my tank is new oil or new gas, they're already anticipating that, right?
They are, and I believe I would have to ask them one by one, but my anticipation is they are anticipating having to buy the next trucker tank full for them, and so they want to make sure that they have the capital to do that. But let's put those prices in perspective. And so if we're looking at about $75 now of WTI, West Texas Intermediate, it was on Friday, I want to say it was around 67. And under 4 years of Joe Biden, the average West Texas Intermediate price was $79. That's for his whole 4 years. I think it got up to, it averaged $94 a barrel in 2022. And so, yes, we are seeing prices uptick, and that stinks, but let's a little perspective here. The high prices that we see right now, I'm using those air quote marks, are still lower than what we had to endure when we had in America last energy policy. And so, again, I'm not going to rah higher prices, but we do need to put some perspective on it.
Now, solar has been a big topic in the state legislature this session with President Pro Tem Cindy O'Loughlin talking during the interim. But it's being reported, I think, this morning that perhaps Trump is softening on solar. Can you tell us more about that?
I think what the administration is looking at, and first of all, Senator O'Loughlin's bill is fantastic, and I like her vision for what she's trying to do for the state with solar power. But I think what President Trump is looking at right now, first of all, I'm sure you all know he's looking at data centers, and they're going to need power. And I think he looks at our electric deficit. I know we've talked about it on the show in the past. The United States is growing in demand even without data centers, and so we are going to need more power on the grid. And I think he's looking at it from an all hands on deck type situation of saying, listen, we're to the point now we don't care where it comes from because we need the juice. And it's nothing short, for me, as a national security matter. Yes, energy is critical to our way of life, and yes, I like having lights on, but we have adversaries in the world that are working on AI, and they have no qualms about opening up 50 coal plants to get the job done so that they beat us in the race to AI. And Americans have to look at, the race on AI, regardless of how you feel about data centers. Our opponents are working on it full time, and they are if they win that battle, that is something that will put us behind generationally for many, many decades to come. And so it's a battle we can't really afford to lose.
Larry, I'm going to ask you something here about this supply and demand equation when it comes to oil prices and prices at the pump. So I'm on my way back from the farm the other day, and on my way up to the farm, the diesel was what the diesel was, and I needed to fill up, and I did, at my favorite fill-up place, half the way up, because it's the cheapest. And on the way down, as I'm passing that place, but I needed to get to where I needed to get, I saw that the price had gone up a dime, and I thought, even though I'm only a quarter tank down or a third tank down, I ought to fill up now, because when I really need to next week, it's going to be, another 10, 20 cents up. How much does that anticipation of things going up, I better fill up now, even though it's earlier than I normally would fill up, how much does that contribute to supply and demand and all of us paying higher prices?
Well, first I would check in with that station and see if they have a lookout for when you're coming up the road and see if that's the Dr. Tobler markup.
Well, my big A truck uses a lot of fuel, I'm telling you. I wish I had bought something different.
They hear you coming, and they're like, change the sign. But the fact of the matter is, when we look at the stock market, perception is a huge part of what goes into a whole lot of these prices. I'm not saying that should be the case, but when you have people in the oil industry, putting forth hundreds of millions, billions of dollars in infrastructure, in manpower, in wages, then they have to try to lock in the prices that they know that they can, still make money at, so that they can continue their operations, and also hedge against times when, oil can fall through. I mean, I don't think anyone in January of 2020 was thinking that oil would go negative, and it absolutely did. And so they're working to, we talked about the volatile environment. Well, the energy industry lives in that volatile environment 24/7. There are some factors they can control, but there's a whole lot of factors they can't. And so when you look at, why are they doing that? Could they have gotten away with maybe just raising it 5 cents? Maybe, but they know the business pretty well, and they say, well, we want to be able to make sure that we still have product for our customers, so maybe it's more prudent on the 10 cents. Or maybe they just, you said something mean to them, and they just want an extra nickel out of you.
I just wonder if we all should restrain that urge to fill up while it's what it is, knowing it's going to be going up. Maybe we're all contributing to a vicious cycle. I don't know. Could be. Well, Larry,
I would, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I apologize. But the thing I fight a whole lot about is when you see, two stations and one station is, 2-3 cents cheaper. That is cheaper, and that's great. But over the course of 10 to 15 gallons on my little SUV, well, how much do I really spend waiting in line longer at that cheap?
You're right. You're right.
So.
All right. Hey, Larry, I know you're going to be keeping an eye on this, and as the Americans and Israelis continue to try to take down the Iranians' ability to block that and to mine that. We hear reports of them maybe trying to mine the straits and everything. We'll keep our eye on it. We'll check in with you from time to time, okay?
You guys are the best. Stay warm.
All right, you too. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Well, it looks like the Missouri House is passing a bunch of bills. We'll be talking with Kent Hayden about that at 7:35. We're talking with Jeff Manasso about that shooting in Austin the other night at 8:08. And when we come back, I'm loving it. The young people are going back to the future with their entertainment. And I'm not talking quadraphonic, don't worry.
It's Wake Up
From time to time, I see things come across the wires that when I see advertisements, Stephanie, I see things for like LP record players that will take an LP and play it, and sometimes it's like a really nice fancy turntable and then feeds into your sound system. I see those that will digitize your LPs for those who have collections. And then I see that young people are embracing a lot of these things. It seems like young folks are coming. Here, I saw this story about DVDs are the new vinyl records. Gen Z is embracing physical media. So it's sort of in that whole genre of rather than everything being digital and in the cloud and everything, which I thought it was just, that's it. We're going to banish DVDs and LPs. And there's this picture of this woman and her boyfriend at a place called Vidiots, Vidiots. They said they prefer renting DVDs. Remember Redbox and
even
and Blockbuster?
every grocery store had a DVD rental.
Now there's this place called Vidiots, and they're renting it for the nostalgia and access to films that aren't available. I thought everything was available one way or another on streaming. And this is really interesting. They found themselves in the thick of Star Wars DVD and Blu-ray collection. I have every Star Wars on DVD. And I've got Atlas Shrugged. I've got all three.
Really?
Yeah, I got Atlas Shrugged. So do you have DVDs still, or have you?
Oh, I still have some.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Disney for the kids? No, the kids are too old now.
I have some Disney.
Yeah?
Yeah. And, I still am hanging on to, in college, because there wasn't streaming.
Mm-hmm.
You thought you were big time stuff if you could buy the box set of a whole TV series and then you could binge.
Yeah.
So some of my favorite TV series I have in box sets.
What would those be?
No comment.
My son had the Twilight Zone box set.
Oh.
No. We can't just gloss over this. Stephanie, you have to tell us.
I mean, it was standard college stuff that you would watch with your roommates. So I think I
tell
have
us.
the OC and Entourage was really hot way back then. Please tell me you've seen Entourage.
The Entourage?
I've never heard of that.
Y'all. Okay, well.
No, Stephanie, I did learn something about your generation. Yes.
Talking about it like it's a dinosaur.
Do you know what raffle means?
I do not.
Raffle?
Oh, rolling on the floor laughing?
Yes.
Yes.
That is so much funnier than LMAO. That is the best way to say lol now.
Millennials are the funniest generation. We are definitely funnier than you. You're welcome.
I have a couple seasons of The Prisoner, an old British one with Patrick McGowan.
Okay.
Yeah, that was cool.
And he was
big giant weather balloon thing. It always chased him down.
Well, he got it, and he lived in this. They put him in this idyllic. It was like he was like an agent. Or he was suspected to be an agent by the British intelligence, and every time he would try to escape, the big white ball would come out of the sea if he was on the sea trying to escape, eat him up, and bring him back to this place called the Village. And everyone was fakey friendly and oh, good day, how are you? And he was in, what was the name of his apartment? Number 9. And that's Patrick McGowan, The Prisoner. Yeah.
Well, and we used to do a lot of DVD comedy specials. I remember in my sorority house, the Dave Chappelle show DVD would play all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that was hilarious.
So do you think, Drake, are DVDs coming back?
I mean, they could be. I don't know anyone who owns a DVD player nowadays.
I do.
But
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but you're old.
I have a few. I could lend you one.
Man, I'm going to have to go Google The Prisoner and watch him driving around in his Lotus.
Oh, yeah. And what was the
great show?
What was the one with the gal and the guy had the top hat on?
The Avengers.
The Avengers. I've got a couple seasons of The Avengers, too. And don't forget Monty Python and Fawlty Towers. But I'm weird. Kent Hayden isn't. He joins us when we come back.
I think just local news is
the goings-on around you. Representative Kent Hayden joins us now on Wake Up Missouri. And Kent, I caught this. Thanks for coming in, by the way. I know you're very busy with the session going on and lots of things churning. House passed a bunch of bills yesterday. Ag education, law enforcement, criminal proceedings, unmanned aircraft, mental health evaluations, military affairs, fatherhood, escrow accounts. Big day yesterday, huh? Busy day.
It was a busy day. They were all bills that had bipartisan support, so they were easy votes for a lot of people, and it was a whole series of really good bills that we third read and passed.
One that isn't so easy, and I know you weighed in on it on a Columbia, Missourian story. It caught my attention about the possibility of giving some kind of almost, I think of it as an antitrust exemption or sort of an opportunity for a monopoly of sorts for MU Healthcare to either buy or invest in rural healthcare facilities in 25 Missouri counties. Tell us more about that and your thoughts about it.
Yes, Representative Jeff Knight from Lebanon introduced the bill. We heard it in Rural Issues a week ago, and basically it gives the University Hospital System the ability to, as the bill says, they could compete in almost antitrust activities, non-competitive in situations even where it makes the area non-competitive. Mm-hmm. And when you use hoping to avoid antitrust, and then in situations make things non-competitive, my radar went up pretty sharply because, as you know, I'm from represent Mexico and north half of Callaway County, and we've lost the Fulton Hospital and the Mexico Hospital in the last 3 years, and we understand what being a healthcare desert is. Yeah. But the word non-competitive really creates great angst for me.
Yeah, I guess, right. It's and your quote was it's a double-edged, well, they said you likened the bill to a double-edged sword because on the one hand you could say, and I imagine Mr. Ransom, the CEO of MU Healthcare, probably said that, hey, it gives access to people because we can come in and, bail out or support or prop up either failed or failing places. On the other hand, I guess the obvious argument is when someone, whether it's the wonderful University of Missouri or anyone else, has a monopoly, then how does that protect the clients, the patients, the customers from unabated price fixing and price increases, right?
Well, and that's the exact point. University Hospital came in and gave urgent care here in Mexico. We needed that. They were looking at putting urgent care in Fulton. They need that. But by the same token, they have competitive advantages already that have had negative effects on a lot of these hospitals that have been struggling. And if you look at the circle that they're making, you got to say, well, what hospitals are their primary targets? The question I raised is that, hey, you had a chance to come in to Fulton or to Mexico or to Boonville when you could have had a significant impact for this type of activity, and you chose not to, other than the areas, emergent care. So they haven't went into areas that were in need. Now, the only exception to that was JCMC at Jeff City, which they came in and in essence took over. But you got to ask, so what's their targeted area? You'd hope it'd be towns like Mexico and Boonville and Fulton and areas to the north of, that would help my Monroe County, which is my northernmost county. But then you got to say, who would be the most likely targets to take over? And you got to look at, well, would Moberly be one? Would Macon be one? Would Marshall be one? Mm-hmm. Would Sedalia be one? Would Rolla be one? Or maybe probably the most apparent would be St. Mary's in Jeff City, which then they would be the only game in town in Jeff City. And, if you look, their rates, their Medicare and Medicaid rates that they are paid are some of the highest in the state, according to the former director of Medicaid. Mm-hmm. And maybe, certainly in the area, they are the highest. So does that mean we would have higher rates that people would have to pay? Because other hospital stays are based upon the Medicaid rate negotiated. And as we all know, they had a situation in last fall where they couldn't come to terms for their insurance, and a whole lot of people were hurt because they were out of the system and had to pay higher rates.
I mean, I think we've seen it in consolidation in healthcare in general when the insurance market has become concentrated, now vertically integrated with so many insurers owning hospitals and doctors and pharmacies and so forth. That has not worked out well for the average patient, both in terms of access and price. I mean, that's just a fact. And you wonder why that wouldn't follow through if a similar situation didn't exist in a regional market.
Well, and as you're aware, university's model is not a private practice model. Now, in their Jeff City operation, they still have some private practice people involved, but their model is that the physicians would work for the university. And as you also aware, that has shown that when hospitals control the doctors as employees, it's about 20% higher on cost than it was in a private practice model. And that's a big concern I have, is that we're moving away from the models that give us lower health care. And, you know, it almost looks like universities moving away from their role to one of a hospital for profit.
Well, I'm not going to share too much here, but I know exactly and can validate exactly what you're saying in many ways. And so we'll be talking with Rick Ransom as well about this and get his opinion. But I really do share your concerns. We're talking with Representative Kent Hayden from Mexico, who knows all about rural health care deserts and is working to try to help restore that to that area here on Wake Up Missouri.
Now, oftentimes we talk about the debates between the Democrats and the Republicans in the State House and on some of those big topic issues. But yesterday, the House gave unanimous approval to a bill to create an agriculture education program. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, what that was working at was to take agriculture education both in rural and urban areas back to that the state would help support that in the junior high type area. And, you know, I was a FFA member and a state FFA officer, and I really support this. We have a real disconnect in our society with where our food systems come from. I mean, many of the people used to be one generation away from a farm that they knew. Now a lot of people are 3 and 4 generations and think that, you know, meat comes from the grocery store or milk comes from the grocery store. That's where it's produced. And they don't understand the systems involved to produce their food. So John Martin, that was his bill from there in Columbia. It's a very, very, very good bill. It was, you know, just people on Republican and Democrat supported it. You know,
I think it's so important. My kids go to Southern Boone and they get a chance to go to the learning garden when they're in primary and elementary, and the things that they tell me, and they, you know, we go to eat something at dinner and at first they kind of make a face and then they say, oh yeah, we grew one of these in the learning garden and it was really good. I mean, it just changes the way they look at food.
Well, and again, we have a real disconnect of where our food comes from, and we've got to, if we don't correct that, then we could be dependent on other countries for our food and not here.
Kent, talk to us about what you've heard from your constituents over the governor's call for income tax cuts and also the continuing discussion over the personal property taxes.
Well, there's a lot of concern over the income tax cut, and this week the bill will come out of committee where we'll know what what the bill is. He's in the State of the Union, State of the State. The governor said it will not involve medical and it will not involve agriculture. Well, the question is, obviously, we're going to raise not property tax. We're going to raise sales taxes. Well, a lot of my area doesn't generate much sales tax, particularly if you're talking about taking agriculture out of it, and in Columbia taking medical out of it. So since we won't raise many dollars for the state for sales tax, will we get those dollars back when we need them for state services? That's a question that I hope that will be answered. a lot of people are for tax cuts, and I don't want to pay more tax than anybody else, but we got to realize that changing it from income tax to a sales tax does not necessarily mean we will have less tax. Some people will have more, some people will have less. Now, the governor and the people in support of that always refer to Tennessee, Florida, Texas, and what they've done by not having an income tax and who they've drawn from out of state for new business and things. Again, we'll know a lot more about that when it comes out of committee this next week. And everybody's for lower taxes. This doesn't necessarily mean lower taxes. And that truthfully in the rate, well, it's the reason the governor gives for doing it. But it is to attract new businesses here without the income tax. So it's not eliminating. We will still have taxes. So it didn't eliminate what your income tax you're paying, and it's gone. It'd be changed to be based upon sales tax.
Yeah, a little bit of a shell game in taxes, right? One way or another, you got to pay for the services. Yeah. Well, Kent, we appreciate you. We're out of time, but I hope we can touch bases again as things proceed, both with regard to health care in, of course, the area that you serve, and in rural Missouri as well, and all these other really pressing issues. Thanks for the work you do in the House, and thanks for being here on Wake Up Missouri. Appreciate it.
Have a good day.
All right, you too. John, what's happening when you come back?
How about a government-mandated potty stop?
You never know what John's going to come up with. Let's find out in a few minutes on Wake Up Missouri.
It's Wake Up.
would be all, except for this.
This is a follow-up. Long Island, New York grandfather Seth Byakovsky, we told you about, went straight to the top after he was denied a renewal of his car's vanity plate. New York State Department of Motor Vehicles said in a letter that his plate PB4WEGO, P before we go, was a violation of their regulations. But Seth did not agree. In all my years as a parent and a grandpa, the worst I've ever gotten has been a gentle roll of the eyes from the kids and the grandkids. Eventually, the dispute made it all the way to Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, who called Byakovsky and said, "The plate's message is an important lesson and we'll get it back for you," she told him.
That's great. Good for her.
So we did a deep dive into some other plates that are actually out there.
Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Drake, get your dump button ready here. Okay,
get
go
ready.
ahead.
Yeah, get ready. HAV2POO. Not too tough. Have to poo. Aloha High. There's another one there. I like this one. NMBSKUL, Numbskull.
Ah, good.
And a couple for you guys. One was pretty easy. MSBELL for Steph.
Hey.
Ms. Bell, that's actually out there. The best one of the bunch would be good for Randy. OVUL8.
What is that?
Ovulate.
And here's one. CXELSID. Read it backwards.
I can't do that in my head.
Dyslexic.
Yes, that's right.
Good.
Yeah, dyslexic.
Well, ovulate be good for Randy's big old truck.
I like that. That's good.
I'd have ovulate plates on my car. Are you kidding me?
I mean, I think that P before you go is a legit license plate. Anyone who's taken a road trip with kids, I used to be a little bit more lax, but now I am every time the car stops, they'll be on their iPads. I don't have to go. Everyone's out of the car. You have to try. I don't care, and that has significantly enhanced my road trips.
They're immersed in their iPad, and they don't want to get away, right?
Yeah, someone will be like, "I don't have to go," and you're like, "Oh, okay."
Yes,
I won't make
you do.
Yeah, then 30 minutes down the road, guess who has to go?
The problem with the P before you go, it's hard to calculate when you have kids. It's hard to calculate how much you need to add to the Google estimated time, right? On the Google Maps.
That's fair.
Wouldn't it be cool if they had an AI thing where, knowing sort of averages, you could put in the number of kids and their ages, and they could come up with add 30 minutes to your estimated time.
I mean, I want to hear your road trip horror stories because one time I thought I am like the ultimate Pinterest mother. I should win an award. I am a gold. So we were going somewhere and they were very young, but I bought all these lap desks and I got all these worksheets and coloring books and markers or whatever. And I said, don't bother me. I'm going to read a book. I gave you all your stuff. Let me ride in peace. And I don't know, Eden's saying something, whatever. And Chris is like, I really think you should, check on her. And I said, no, I gave them all their stuff. They're supposed to leave me alone. We get out at the first stop. Eden has taken a green magic marker and covered herself a la Shrek. Whoa. I mean, her face, up one arm. I mean, and so now I'm in the gas station with baby wipes trying to wipe off what is supposed to be washable marker, and it is just smearing. I mean, it was.
How old was she at this point?
Oh, probably 4.
Oh, perfect.
And so now I'm no markers, no worksheets. Look at your tablet and leave me alone.
I've told my horror story that I always thought was funny when I was a kid. My fighter pilot dad, whenever we'd be on a road trip, he drove like he flew. And when you fly till your fuel's gone and you get on the tanker or whatever. He used to do that with a car, and I remember him running it out of gas, pulling into the gas station, him laughing about it. My mother was not happy.
Yeah. Helene doesn't like that. I'll run it down to where it's just running on fumes. She drives her crazy. Oh, hey, you're listening to Wake Up Missouri. And when we come back, that Austin shooting over the weekend, I think, has been underreported. We're going to find out the latest on that from Jeff Mamasso from Fox News Radio. Stay tuned for that and more as we follow more on the Iranian issue, too, for you all morning.
From the Zimmer Radio Network headquarters, it's your morning addiction.
Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime.
Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take.
The Zimmer News Team.
To actually create real peace, you have to do these kinds of actions just like happen.
And now, introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
They're suffering a tremendous amount of damage. Honestly, again, I'm not going to give away the details of our tactical efforts, but the hardest hits are yet to come from the U.S. military. The next phase will be even more punishing on Iran than it is right now. Someone was screaming, how long will it take? I don't know how long it'll take. We have objectives. We will do this as long as it takes to achieve those objectives, and we will achieve those objectives. The world will be a safer place when we're done with this operation.
Well, when you do rehab, the destruction and the demolition phase is often really messy and ugly. And then things come together and you're in a better place. Well, we're in the demolition phase of the ugly, tyrannical, radical regime of the Iranians, and the world is not yet a safer place. But Marco Rubio, along with Donald Trump yesterday, saying, hey, just wait, the next wave's coming. And the world wasn't a safe place in Austin, Texas over the weekend. And to help us unpack what happened with that mass shooting is Jeff Manasso from Fox News Radio. Jeff, welcome in. There's been a lot of speculation about whether that was a terrorist attack, that Senegalese guy who naturalized citizen. What's the latest on it? What do we know?
Well, the latest is that a third victim of Sunday morning's mass shooting there has died, and we now know their names. 30-year-old George Peterson was taken off life support last night. 21-year-old Savitha Shawn and the 19-year-old Ryder Harrington also killed inside that bar in downtown Austin. 13 others hurt, 2 in critical condition. The violence at the hands of a potential terror suspect that the FBI is investigating the case as a terror investigation based on this guy, what he was wearing, an Iranian flag T-shirt, a sweatshirt that read "Property of Allah." His home was searched. We're told investigators found more Iranian flags and pictures of Iranian leaders. So we'll see. It's a long, ongoing process, and what they're doing now is they're going through thousands of hours of video, digital, and other evidence, and they're trying to look into this guy's past. We know that he was married and divorced twice. He was not previously on law enforcement's radar, federal law enforcement's radar, but he did have an extensive criminal history dating back when he lived in New York. Including running over and injuring a woman in Brooklyn in 2016. Local police say they're making tremendous progress in the case, but it's going to take time. The sole focus really is the motive.
So we
why.
Yeah, we don't really know yet. I guess that what they're working on is to see if and how deep there might be a nexus between the Iranians or some kind of Iranian radical inspiration group and this guy. Is that sort of where we're at now?
Yes, that is where we're at, and again, it's a partnership between the FBI and local and state police, maybe even the CIA, but they don't talk. But Texas Governor Greg Abbott is directing the State Department of Public Safety, as well as the National Guard, to step up patrols and surveillance across the state as a part of what he calls Operation Fury Shield. And to respond with overwhelming force should there be another situation.
Wow.
If they can find it. And that's the problem with lone wolves. This guy bought his guns illegally. He was a naturalized U.S. citizen from West Africa. So he was here legally and able to purchase those weapons. And so, lone wolf type situations, they're always the hardest to find.
Jeff, what have you heard from the agencies like the FBI, Homeland Security, whomever, about the real possibility of Iranian sleeper cells in this country? I know Fox talked about a bigger issue potentially in Europe than here.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a concern, and they're if you what do they say? If you see something, say something. I mean, they're asking people to be vigilant. And we've heard since the the strikes in Iran began, city officials, city leaders across the country, and police departments are stepping up their surveillance and looking into possible threats. But again, these are really hard to figure out unless you've got a mark. And this guy, again, was not known by federal agents. He wasn't on their radar, but he did have a criminal history before he moved to Texas. And so, you know, it's a difficult situation, but people are just urged to be vigilant in situations like these.
Isn't it interesting, Jeff, that today Kristi Noem is going to be testifying in Congress, and there's really some very credible talk out. Well, no, not credible. Let's just say there's some serious talk among Democrats to shut down the Department of Homeland Security. And then you hear stories like this, right? And in these times with what's going on over in the Middle East, and you just sort of pinch yourself and say, really? Are they really serious about doing away with DHS? Really?
Yeah. Chairman Chuck Grassley is speaking right now in that hearing, and we expect to listen to him here shortly, but expect it to be a fiery hearing, and also expect to hear Secretary Noem say exactly that. Democrats, you pulled the funding for this agency, and you need to fund it to make sure that Americans are safe. I would expect to hear her say that probably more than once. I did hear, I could be wrong, but I believe that they're teeing up a vote on DHS funding this week. Wow. Yeah. I mean, if something were to happen.
Yeah.
And that can be traced back to a lack of funding, lack of manpower because of a lack of funding. That wouldn't be good politically. And DC is all about optics and all about politics. So we'll see if they get something passed. But yeah, definitely that's going to come up today.
What kind of specific advice could our listeners take from from Governor Abbott? Just in terms and the law enforcement folks there, and in general, what kind of information should people put in their back pocket when they're at sitting outside if the weather warms up here over the weekend and they're sitting outside at a neighborhood cafe or they're inside the cafe? I mean, what kind of situational awareness should we be thinking about? Or is this just so random, forget about it, don't be worried?
It's crazy because we don't have situational awareness like they do, say, in Israel. I was talking to a cab driver one time, and he's from Israel, and he said, we're driving on this freeway on the BQE right now in New York City, but if I was back home, I would know exactly which cars were surrounding me, including two back over to the right, two back over to the left. Like every single car around you, you're hyper aware of what's going on around you. We don't have that here. It would be unfortunate if that's how we lived, but in this day and age, we need to start thinking about that. And where you sit in a restaurant, your back toward the wall, eyes toward the front door might be a good start.
Yeah. Oh man.
Even when you go grocery shopping, or to Target or to malls, maybe malls aren't the best place. You start thinking differently.
Yeah.
The more time, the advice that we hear from our leaders is to be hypervigilant, just to keep your head on a swivel. If you see something that just doesn't look right or seem right, or hear something, say something. And but it doesn't mean that we should stop living our lives. And that message was reiterated from Governor Abbott and many others in the last couple of days in the wake of this mass shooting and others.
Yeah, Jeff Manasso from Fox News Radio joins us. Jeff, final thought about we don't really know with whether it's 9 or 12 or 18 million, undocumented folks that came across, right? The illegal aliens, and reports that many of them were on the terror list, and how many we don't know about, the gotaways, those that they never even encountered. That's the scary thing to me. There's so many unknown potential perps out there. That's a scary thought.
Yeah, it is a scary thought. And again, get your head on a swivel. I don't know, everybody has their own opinion on whether or not they want to carry. do what makes you feel safe.
Yeah.
Is the advice that we hear from a lot of people. A lot of down cutting it right down the middle type of people, not really taking opinion. Do what's best for you and your family.
Yeah.
And pray.
Vigilance and situational awareness from Jeff Manasso this morning, reporting on this Austin shooting. As we know more about it, we hope we stay in touch with you. All right, keep us informed.
Will do.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it. All right. He's got to get on to another hit there, but man, you just think about you're at a bar, eating some wings, drinking a beer, maybe playing a little pool, and the next thing you know,
playing pool.
Huh?
I said that's me playing pool.
There you go. And the next thing you know, someone next to you, or you all of a sudden feel some moisture on the head, and the next thing you drop and black out, and you're dead. It can happen. That's America 2026.
Yeah,
man, that's a rough pool hall.
Well, and I think too, like I have something about like the uncertainty in right now has me like concerned about travel. I like to travel, but when stuff starts hitting the fan, I like to be close to home and not stranded anywhere. And so whether we're talking like Puerto Vallarta, other places, it just seems like I wouldn't want to be anywhere else but right at home when the rockets start flying. So I wonder. I did see a travel thing yesterday, and they're like, if you want to travel really cheaply, guess where
Yeah, right.
guess what? Now's a great time.
Bargains at Puerto Vallarta. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that seems a little risky.
But more above, even beyond that, on our everyday lives, I mean, what are the softest targets? They're the places that have signs that say no guns allowed, right? Now, my hope is that there may be some civil disobedience and people inside those establishments are, in fact, carrying some guns. Sorry. That's my hope. But those are the soft targets. So every time you go into a library, a healthcare facility, a government building, you go like, oh, my God, what am I doing here? This is this is the obvious target for one of these radical, evil, deceitful, demonic people. Now just be careful. Watch your back. It's Wake Up Missouri. We're going to check in on the markets. I'm not sure I want to, but we need to. We need to keep you informed. We'll do that in 5 minutes.
It's Wake Up.
The bell tolls. How are our portfolios and the gas prices looking?
Well, we talked with Larry Behrens earlier about volatility, and certainly yesterday was the first day the market opened since the war began, and stocks responded with volatility of their own. They fell sharply in the morning, but regained some ground in the afternoon and closed mixed. So when we look at it, we had the Dow down 0.15%, the NASDAQ up 0.36%, the S&P in the middle at up 0.04%. As we look at the sectors, we saw consumer staples, consumer discretionary, and health down pretty big, while energy was actually up pretty big. And how are our gas prices, Randy? Are you looking at them right now?
I don't know about gas prices, but oil, from the time we talked to Larry Behrens in the 7 o'clock hour to now, oil has risen another $2 a barrel, and it was up $4 overnight. So it's up a little over $6 now since the open yesterday.
And as the conflict continues, it looks like the market is deciding not so great, because in the futures, everything's probably averaging right around 2% down.
Down about 1,000 points on the Dow, 550 on the NASDAQ, yep.
All right. Let's talk some good news, though. I previewed this yesterday. Apple has said it's going to be a big week, and I feel like Apple is a little bit like the boy who cried wolf, because they, no doubt, I am an Apple super fan. They have developed some things that have been life-changing, some of the most revolutionary products. Everyone else copies them, but they've been kind of on a bender or something. They've been out of the mix because we haven't gotten anything new or revolutionary from them in a while. They teased this and said, we're going to have a big week. And yesterday, what did we get? A kind of what they're calling a budget-friendly iPhone. Do you want to know what the price on a budget-friendly iPhone is?
Oh, boy, I don't know. By Apple's definition, it might be different than I think.
$599, which this is better than, remember how they came out with that weird phone sock thing that was $200? I mean, $599 isn't bad. It's a brand new iPhone 17e. It's going to be available March 11th. And they're asking, so the question is, do I upgrade if I have the 15? What are these specifications? So you get a nice big display, you get better storage, you get the new chip, you get MagSafe support, you only get the single rear camera. You get the satellite emergency messaging, which I actually do like. Crash detection and 26 hours of video battery life. If you've ever gotten 26 hours of video battery life on an iPhone, please let me know.
Amazing.
Because I think there's no way. My phone dies multiple times in the day. So they say if you just are texting, you want to take decent photos, scroll your socials, the phone will do the job. But if you want to go ahead and upgrade to the iPhone 17, you get the second rear ultra-wide camera. You get a better selfie camera. You get always-on display. You get longer battery life, faster charging, and you get this cool action button on the side, which I really like. Do you have one with an action button? You do. Yeah,
so what don't you get?
All of those things that I just read off on the better phone. Anyway, here's the bottom line.
Oh, so those are on the better phones, but not on the cheapie.
Here's the bottom line. They're telling you if you keep your phone 3 to 5 years, if you don't really care about good photography, if you just want reliable performance, then the new cheaper iPhone might be good for you.
Okay.
But if you are serious about your photos, you care about display, fancy display, and you upgrade every 2 years anyway, they said go ahead and get the full-blown iPhone. But I'm saying, where is my new fancy, fantastical, couldn't have dreamed it up Apple product? Quit teasing me.
Well, I don't know. Looking at the markets, I think I'm going to buy some Raytheon and Grumman stock. You want to talk about?
What did Bill Clinton say when he was asked about Jeffrey Epstein alleging that Bill locked him real young? That when we come back. And we're covering that and have talked a lot about the ramifications for your wallet at the pump and, your natural gas and your propane bills, by the way, as well as your safety. And we talked about that story in Austin. That guy, had a Iranian flag underneath the thing that said property of Allah, his sweatshirt. So a lot of ramifications. But, there's a lot going on locally as well, Stephanie, and those things impact us day by day. Interesting story out of the Columbia City Council. They're not going, I guess for the time being, people aren't going to have to pay an extra, fee if they have too many animals?
Yeah, they were looking at two separate ordinances, or one ordinance regarding pet and feral animals, and I guess they tabled it and said, bring us one back that everyone agrees on and bring us the other one back that we really need to debate. So they didn't take any action last night, but I didn't know this, that apparently right now there's an ordinance that if you have more than 4 pets, you have to, so one of the major proposed changes was a new $50 annual permit for each dog or cat in a household that exceeds the 4-pet limit. How many, Drake, you're in trouble.
No,
you got a lot of pets.
I'm going down. If the feds try and bust into my house to take my pets, I'm taking a couple of them.
Apparently, one resident showed up and said she has 20 cats, and the permit fee would cost her almost $1,000 per year. I think there's a line between 4 pets and 20.
I think Jefferson City's thing is 6, if I remember.
So does it count as a feral animal if you're putting out some cat food every morning for the local cats? I guess, is that your pet then by this definition?
I don't know. Isn't that wild? I mean, to be fair, question. I don't really want to live next door to someone who has 20 cats. So maybe they should charge a fee. The other thing that came up, and this was actually in we didn't cover this legislation last year. It slipped under the radar, Randy.
We did.
But apparently
we missed it.
We did, because it looks like it passed last session, and it was just, I'm sure the title was something pretty generic, but it talked about, I think, charitable selling of alcohol for fundraisers and some other things. But way down deep in this bill, it allows during the 2026 FIFA World Cup tournament for holders of a liquor license, they can operate 24 hours a day. So during FIFA, 24-hour bars. And I guess
Columbia took this up at the council meeting, didn't they?
They did, and that's why and so
their own version.
They did. So although the bill allows them to do 24 hours, I guess cities still can regulate. So Columbia said they're only going to allow Columbia bars to stay open 1 hour longer during certain late night FIFA World Cup games.
During 7 specific matches, they can stay open until 2:30. What is the current rule? 1:30?
Yeah, 1:30.
1:30.
Ole, ole.
Final call at 1 o'clock.
I mean, you think about it, because they say our hotels are going to be full here in mid-Missouri and all over the state with, international folks. And I mean, if you've been, they do not sleep, and they don't eat dinner till 9. So 2 and 3 in the morning is not uncommon. So I don't know if we're trying to accommodate our international visitors or if we're just trying to, make more money during FIFA. Either way, I think Columbia's proposal is reasonable. I'm not sure the bars in Columbia, Missouri need to be open till 5 in the morning.
Chief Schluty said that at the meeting that statewide regulation allowing bars to stay open until 5 a.m. would directly bleed into the time when the police department is the least staffed. Yeah. And that's when we report on, I think, at least the high-profile incidents, that's when they happen, is between 1:30-ish, 2 o'clock in the morning, right, and after.
I'd rather them be in the bars than out in the streets.
You might have a staffing challenge. I know from doing closed bars back in the days, people grumbled and groused and all. It was like if you couldn't get the last call folks out in a decent amount of time, you were stuck there 3:34 in the morning just doing cleanup.
That's rough.
Businesses they'll have to apply for extended hours, so it's not just an automatic.
Yeah.
They have to apply for that. June 14th, 17th, 20th, 21st, 23rd, 27th, and July 3rd. So, boy,
mark your calendar if you want to drink from 1:30 a.m. to 2:30 a.m.
There you go. I mean, if it's that important to you folks, those are the dates.
Was anybody open for that early morning USA hockey game? Were the bars open?
That's a good question.
That would have been when I would want them to be open. We should, this was David Gregory's bill. We should pass a law like this for the Olympics. You should be able to drink 24/7 during the Olympics.
Well, you can drink, just drink at home.
That seems like maybe you have a problem.
Or go to the Olympics and drink 24/7.
Friends, maybe you're.
In other local news, I found this interesting. A Jefferson City council member resigned.
Yeah.
His name's Aaron Mealy, and he said, effective immediately, I'm resigning. It's been my honor to serve. Tell us some more. This sounds like he's got a problem with maybe some sunshine law things.
Yeah, that goes back a couple years on Jefferson City's council. He was upset that in his what he said was that the city leadership didn't post the notice they needed to on some hearings. I think they involved employee benefits at the city.
Well,
that was a couple years ago.
I mean, I know an awful lot about. I know more than this than I've ever wanted to know about sunshine law rules. I know an awful lot about it, and can't say much more about it right now. But let's just say I know when people break them, and I know that the Attorney General gets involved. So why doesn't Mr. Mealy involve the Attorney General? And by the way, I was not one who broke the law. By the way, to make it absolutely perfectly clear.
Sounds like you may have been the guy on the FOIA request side of things or something.
So no. I'm just saying. Why doesn't he just go to the AG and they've got a division that's what they enforce?
They have people that go around and talk to government entities, no matter how little or big they are, about how you're supposed to toe the line with the sunshine law and have open meetings be open meetings. Well,
and you're supposed to post meetings if it's going to be essentially a closed meeting, you go into open session, you announce it, and on the agenda you say, we're announcing a meeting, then we're going to go into closed session for this reason, and you have to state the categories. You don't have to state the specific, issue at hand. And then you go back into open session, you go out of the meeting.
And you have to report any action taken in closed session. But if there's no action, then there's nothing
within
to
72
report.
hours, I think. And if you don't, something like that. And if you are on one of these boards or councils, or if you're subject to these rules and you object, you need to make that clear at the time, right? Or you should. That's part of the best practices there.
Well, and I don't know his exact hubbub.
What's his beef?
I'm not exactly sure. I will say, Jefferson City is so you get a ton of open records violations with school districts, with smaller cities, with those kinds of things. I mean, Jefferson City is a pretty well-run city. They've got inside counsel, they've got outside counsel. So it would. I mean, people make mistakes, certainly, but to know, or to suggest that they had a pervasive open records issue would surprise me.
It's hard knowing Ron Fitzwater like I do. It was he. Yeah, he was the mayor then.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine that Ron would willfully, knowingly violate the sunshine.
And sometimes, there is some discretion with the sunshine law in that when it comes to records, I think it says the city may close certain records. And so sometimes there's a debate over whether you exercise that authority to close certain records. And sometimes people want more transparency, and that can be a debate. But
well, he did file a complaint, it says. Sorry, I'm looking further in the story here. He did file a complaint. And so be held at reasonably convenient times in general. So I don't know.
Well, there are also those challenges, and we've investigated them over the years, where entities are accused of having, let's say, a couple of elected officials go out to breakfast together and start talking city business. There's enough of them there that it constitutes a quorum and constitutes what should have been an open meeting when you two guys were talking about the extension of Jones Street over biscuits and gravy at the corner.
Yeah.
The corner.
You got to be careful with that. The thing that I guess that is in my mind is, John, where are we at? Because they're going to elect council people. I don't know when his term was up. So does the mayor then appoint his replacement?
Yeah, I think that's how it works. The mayor appoints, and then they have an election down the road.
Okay.
Term was up next year on Councilman Mealy.
And it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot on an individual. Obviously, in a smaller community, less time. But certainly in a city like Jefferson City, and man, when I attended the Columbia City Council meeting, last month, I really felt for those council people because I got to leave when my issue was done, and I think I left at 11 o'clock at night, and they were still rolling. And I know they had Beyond Pets last night. They had the FIFA thing. They had gaming machines. They had all sorts of illegal gas station machines was on the agenda last night. They tabled that. They also approved last night the money for a new jet bridge. So, it's
good.
quite a commitment. I don't know how late they were there last night. But yeah, that was talked about with the increase. Hopefully they get the parking situation worked out at COU because there's a lot more people flying out of there and the parking situation's gotten a little hairy. But if you recall, we had like one opening without a jet bridge, and now they're going to do another one. So that means hopefully as we increase those flights, we've got everyone moving.
This dispute goes back to discussions about the city employees' health care, and, they ultimately voted to introduce a quantify specialty care to help mitigate challenges with health care. So this sounded like some nuances in the law, which Mr. Mealy claimed was a problem. And I don't know that there was ever any attorney general ruling. Apparently nothing that I know. No, he didn't slap the city's wrist, right? As far as I know, we haven't seen anything on that.
I haven't seen anything.
Well, all right. So yeah, now there'll be appointed or special or something. Well, those are the things that impact your life, right? Let's do a check on the markets. Now down more than 1,000 points, having opened, down 2%. Dow is plunging and the oil prices are surging. So, well, if nothing else, Donald Trump creates disruption. We knew that going in, right? And you just hope that, like renovation, the demolition phase is ugly, but then the beautiful phoenix rises from the ashes, and it's a beautiful thing. The world's a safe place.
You must have ate your Wheaties this morning or something, because you're all...
He was on the Lucky Charms a little bit.
That gas station candy this morning?
What do you mean? Oil prices will go down. There'll be no more tension. There'll be a big kumbaya between Israel and the Arab states, and the world could be a different place. It's possible.
Well, think back to the Yom Kippur War in the 1970s, and that's how oil prices went up 100%.
Yeah.
So this is nothing compared to things we have seen.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll see where it goes. We'll be back with leftovers. Stay tuned.
It's Wake
Welcome back into Wake Up Missouri. Time for leftovers. Stephanie, what do you have?
Well, a feel-good story from the California Fire Department in Montauk County. I guess on Friday they got a call that there was a woman in active labor. When they arrived, she was in the front seat of a vehicle, and they concluded that delivery was imminent. Wow. So they assisted her in delivering the baby, clamped the cord, and then they were transported by an ambulance to a nearby hospital. And CFD, I think they said, what did they say? We are blessed to have been in the position to help one of our neighbors with this joyous event. And while most things we encounter are negative, this is one of those positives that truly makes us proud to serve.
Isn't that cool?
It's great.
You hear these stories from time to time, and it's just awesome that such talented people that can do those bailouts, when they're needed in many ways. This time it's obstetrics, so that's good. John, what do you have?
Well, will you hear the sirens sound Wednesday? That's the plan. They will run the annual statewide tornado drill tomorrow, and the plan is to hear the sirens sound at 11 Wednesday morning. But the catch is stormy weather in the forecast, potential thunder showers for tomorrow. So we'll see if they continue to go ahead with the drill or delay it or postpone it or cancel it. We'll see what happens.
Wow. Yeah.
I also have a new parenting hack for you.
Yeah?
If you're having trouble getting your kids to brush their teeth, there's a new collab out.
Yeah?
Reese's Peanut Butter has
I
collabed with an oral care brand to launch a peanut butter cup toothpaste. Apparently it tastes like chocolate and peanut butter, but it's sugar-free fluoride plus formula with a cooling finish. So, will you brush your teeth with something that tastes like Reese's Peanut Butter?
Just cut out the middleman and get a Reese's Peanut Butter cup and use that.
Oh, my gosh. That sounds gross.
You mean like sort of put it in a cup and put some water and oil in there and sort of slursh it around and then use that as a paste?
Just punch a hole in the top and stick your toothbrush in the peanut butter and go for it.
Oh, gosh, John. I guess it'd have to be crunchy, right? To have the little grittiness to it.
That would help, yeah.
Little
there you go.
crunchiness will get that, yeah. That'll help get some of the particles out. Drake, what do you have, brother?
Your Missouri Tigers are playing tonight against Oklahoma. I say against, at Oklahoma, 6 o'clock. Turn on your TV or be square, something like that. We're favored by a lot. Actually, the spread's only 1.5, so that's not great. But, hey, we need to win this game so that Arkansas, it's only a feel-good win. We should be in the tournament. In March, it's here. Anything can happen.
This is our last regular season road game, isn't it?
Yep.
I didn't get a chance to play, they'll win, right? Of course, every time we think they'll win, they lose. Then they lose, they win. I mean, then they go on a streak against people they shouldn't beat, and then they lose in a streak that people they should. Unpredictable team.
We've gotten hot at the end of the season, and that matters a lot.
Earlier, I talked about playing. The stock market got us distracted because it's really plummeting. Don't look, guys. Yesterday, they released the video of the Bill Clinton testimony or deposition on Friday. Nancy Mace was asking him about why would what do you say about Jeffrey Epstein saying you like them young? Here's what he said.
Witnesses who testified in the Epstein cases that Epstein said, you quote, like them young. Why would Epstein say that about you?
Are you asking his opinion? You're asking him to think about why Mr. Epstein would say something about him?
Why would Epstein say that about
she's asking you to try to be in Mr. Epstein's mind and guess at what.
Now, picture the video here in case you haven't seen it. He's looking, he has a downward gaze while this is going on between Nancy Mace and his counsel, one of his counsels. And he's got this sort of Joe Biden look, just sort of deer in the headlights look, looking down. And then this unfolds. Listen to the pause. It's sort of an AOC moment.
Mr. Epstein would have thought about.
Clinton likes them young, referring to girls.
First of all, that's not true.
What's not true?
I did not.
That I have any.
I'm telling you, there was an awfully long pause there. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We'll keep our eyes on Iran.
Slick Willie.
Tomorrow. See ya.
Bye.